Hey everybody. So this video specifically is for people who want to work in marketing. The reason I thought this would be a good idea to do this video is some students from Boston University, so shout out to Boston University, reached out to me recently and they said, hey, we got these questions that we need to get done for a school project. And essentially, we want to know what it's like to be account management at an advertising agency. So we scheduled a call and I'm going to kind of run you through a little bit of the basics of what we talked about. Now that call went long. Probably was like, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour. But I think with you guys, we'll just kind of breeze through this and we'll see if we can keep it under 5 minutes. So let's start the timer. All right. Okay. So for starters, how did you get your first job? So I assume that they meant first job in marketing. I personally had a really tough time getting into marketing because I was a career changer. So I had started off in a different industry. I was in manufacturing. I loved it, but I don't know. I really wanted to scratch the creative itch for me. So for me, in order to make the leap from that into marketing, into actually getting hired at the agencies that I really, really loved, that was like a 2-year process. I was freelancing first with my brother, which was really great and was a really fun experience, but also a really exciting experience too. I then ended up doing, I took an entry-level job doing proposal writing, which actually is a really beneficial skill to have, a very profitable skill to have. However, it was a very low-paying skill for me when I first started. And then I interviewed at a ton of places. And, I think even if I thought that I wouldn't want a certain job, I still went through the interview process just to see what they would offer, kind of start to understand what market rate was, and then to see what skills I had that were skills that people would actually want. And then when I found the agency that I wanted to work at, I knew I wanted to work there. 100% I knew that I wanted to work there. But I couldn't take the first offer that they gave me, which was super sad. It was just a really low offer. So then, another 6 months waiting around. Finally, a different position opened up. This time I did get an offer. It was still lower than what I was being offered at other places. Believe it or not, I actually would have gotten paid more doing these other jobs that I really, really didn't want. But I took it. And then for me, it worked out too, because I'm really happy with the career that I have. And also, it's a higher salary potential in the industry that I'm in now. And I was able to match the salary that I gave up on going. And obviously I was in a place where I was privileged enough to be able to do that. And I hope you guys, given that choice, can also, do what's best for you long-term, right? All right. So next question. How would I describe my agency and what makes them unique? So I actually left the agency that I was at for about 4 years to start my own family business. So I think it's better if I speak about agencies in general. But from what I've seen as well firsthand, look, agency life is fast-paced, it's stressful, it's really unique because you're either going to learn quickly and love it, or you're going to be forced to leave either because they show you the door or just because your mental health just can't take it. Some people are wired for agency life. Some people are not wired for agency life. And I think I'm going to move on from that one a little bit, right? But let's see. What else do I have in my notes here? Let's talk about stress for a second. It's great if you love stress. And I know that sounds weird if you're a student and you're a little early in your career, and maybe you don't. But some people love stress. Some people get addicted to stress, right? And so agencies are great if you need to be stressed out. I compare agency life to when you go to a sports bar. I don't watch sports, but if you go to a sports bar, there's just people that are just yelling at the TV, just do this, do that, do this. And you would just, if you knew nothing about sports, you would assume that whatever they're watching on TV is something that they hate. But oddly, they love it. People love to go out and they love to yell at the TV. And anyways, agency life is kind of like that for your career. If you watch some of your favorite TV shows and you really like seeing the highs and lows of some of your these TV characters because of their work job and stuff like that, you'll probably like agency life. I think it's fun. I think it'd be a good thing to do for anyone who's young. You'll also learn a lot, which I'll get into a little bit later. The next question: what accounts do you work on? Who do you interact with on the client side, and what are your primary responsibilities? So, without really making it a choice, here's my answer. without really making it a choice, I ended up working primarily for car dealerships. When my brother was freelancing and he brought me in, it was for car dealerships. The agency I mentioned to you guys that I started working at, that was car dealerships. It's something that I just sort of gravitate to, right? I've also worked with a lot of non-automotive clients, especially when I started my independent company. But just the fact that I would bucket things into dealerships and non-automotive clients instead of saying, dealerships is like the special case. Like I work primarily with automotive, the way that it played out so much that anything that is outside of the dealership realm, I refer to as non-automotive. Crazy, right? And that's not anything I did on purpose. It's not something I planned out or any of that stuff, but it just the way that it played out, and maybe for some of you guys, it'll play out in an interesting way, or maybe some of you guys will be a lot more mindful and a lot more intentional. And that's a whole other rabbit hole that I don't know if I want to dive into right with your time. All right, so we're 5 minutes in. Let's see if we can speed this up. What do you wish you knew as a student before going into your career? Before going into my career. Okay, well, one thing I did know as a student is it's all about marketing or market rate, right? I'll say that a bunch of times. I had wanted to be a marketing major, but when I typed in average salary for marketing majors, it was actually really low. But when you type in average salary for business majors, it's a little bit higher. I mean, not STEM degree high, but higher than marketing. But you can actually be a business major with a marketing, marketing minor and with a big marketing focus. So that's something I did. One thing I wish I knew before going into my career, probably in general, is that, if there's someone that you need to be in life as far as a career, you need to get started right away because time does fly. It really does fly, and you don't want to be 10 years into your career living someone else's dream and then find out that now you're going to do a career change, because as someone who did a career change, it was tough. And I'm one of the few people, well, one, I'm the only person I know that had that job that went into an advertising agency, and two, I'm one of a very small amount of people that worked in that industry that was able to branch out into something different, and the people that did branch out into something different, who did do a career change, later in life, I mean, these are the highly motivated people, right? And these are the well-educated and all that stuff. So if you're gonna do a career change, try to do it as early as possible. What trends in advertising and beyond do you see most heavily influencing ad agencies and agency account management teams recently? Okay. So there's a few different trends, and there's some trends I don't like, and then some trends I do like. So let's start with the trends that I don't like. There's a lot of layoffs in the industry right now. It's a tough time, a lot of consolidation, and people are going to AI, and clients expect you to pitch AI. I actually think AI can be used properly. I sometimes use it for some things, but I think AI is also being used as an excuse to be lazy, as an excuse to copy and paste, and I think it's also being used as an excuse to lay off people. And then the clients that are paying for these services aren't necessarily getting better, more efficient services. They're getting more lazy work. They're getting more AI slop. I don't like that trend. A trend that I do like is I'm seeing a lot of career marketers now start their own agencies. People I've worked with in the past start their own agencies, and I like that. I think it's better when the career marketers start their agencies because it's better for them. Now they're less susceptible to layoffs, and because it's better for the clients, because now the clients are getting people who have worked at these bigger agencies, who know these big strategies, but are now able to focus on their business. Another trend that I don't necessarily like is a lot of agencies have been started by kind of like the sort of hustle bro, crypto bro culture people that are just coming in and they all sound the same and they're all trying to 10x your business. And I've seen some with some success that has been good for clients, but I also feel like there's been a lot of sort of scammy ones, and they're the same people that turn around and do the AI work and the AI slop. And there's just, I don't necessarily like that. Next question. Has your agency had any client losses? If so, what do you believe went wrong? So currently in this role, very high retention. We do really well to where if we get a client, we keep a client. And that comes from experience. It comes from me sticking to what I know. And it comes from me having a mantra that says our goal is less clients and more focus. But every agency will have cancellations, and every client that you sign on will cancel eventually, right? It'll be this year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And here are the things that can go wrong. One, lack of communication. If you don't communicate with clients, your clients will leave you eventually. Lack of results. If you don't produce results, clients will leave you eventually. And then ownership change, or if you worked with one owner for a really long time and they're now selling the business or passing on the business to somebody else, typically the new sheriff in town, what they like to do is they start from a clean slate. Like, let's get rid of everybody. And firing the marketing agency, I feel like, is always it's always on people's radar because it's just such an easy thing to do to signify a big change, right? So those are the things that would do it. Okay, next question. What are some of your best client relationships? What works well that supports the relationship? In person. The relationships I've had the best with, like the clients relationships I've had the best success with, are the people that I just constantly visit in person. It's so much better than a Zoom call. It's so much better than emails and all that stuff. Scalable. It's not so much scalable at a big agency, and your bosses aren't going to like flying you out everywhere and all that stuff. For me, currently in this role, New England dealership marketing, everybody's within driving distance. So try to visit everybody in person as much as possible. Another thing that works really well to support the relationship is don't just come back at the end of every month and say, hey, this is what we worked on. We're so great. I mean, you got to really show up prepared to every meeting, have the things that you want to say, but let them start first. Let them tell you if there's any red flags. Let them tell you if there is anything that they're happy about and all that stuff. And you think about what are the best client relationships. It's just like what are the best relationships in real life, right? The water, or they say like opportunity grows where you water it, or the relationships. Hey, here, let's start over. Think about what are your best relationships in life, right? Is it your best friend that you talk to all the time? Or I don't know. Or is it like the acquaintance that you talk to once every 6 months and it's only when you need something, So a lot of communication, all that stuff, but you really have to be a resource. You're not calling people just to be a chore, and you're not calling people just to drag them down. I don't feel like I did that question any justice, but I don't know if I can keep talking about it and add value. Otherwise, we'll just keep going in circles. But that said, look, I know that I went really off script. It's been a long time since I did this, since they sent me over these questions and I did this with them. We're a little over 12 minutes or so on my watch. If you guys have any questions, and if there's anything that you want to hear, just leave a comment, and I could probably do it in either a YouTube short or YouTube video. Also, if you guys disagree with me or any of that stuff, I want to hear about it as well too. Let me know if your experience was anything similar to mine, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.